Hi everyone, welcome to the visual guide for the 1,000 Maws of Toto-Rak. This is the fourth instance you'll encounter on your travels through the storyline, but not technically the fourth instance you'll unlock. And let me tell you, this one was fun. My name is Ms. Tech, and I'll be your dungeon guide. If you read the lore for Toto-Rak, you'll find that it is an abandoned prison now overrun by magical forest creatures. I'm not sure why, but I've noticed that in any fantasy world, magical forest creatures usually include some kind of giant spider, aka most overused monster model number 12. But I'm not complaining. The use of giant spiders in this dungeon actually plays into the entertainment value of the instance, and you'll see why soon enough. Toto-Rak is also the first instance you'll come across where you have to make a decision about which tunnel to take. Although any choice eventually boils down to the correct path towards each objective, the extra tunnels still offer more mobs, more treasure chests, all stuff that you can use. Be sure to also pick up all the Magitech photocells that you find throughout the tunnels. You'll use these later on. Alright, here we go. Remember me saying something about spiders and shenanigans? Here's what I'm talking about. Throughout the instance you'll encounter these webbed arches, usually before a room with something interesting in it. You really have to watch out for these because it's a trap. Whoever crosses over the threshold and anyone around them will get sucked into the room. Now, if you're anything like me and you go straight into tank mode without realizing that the room you're in has just closed off, separating you from the rest of your party, you're going to have a bad time. Luckily, someone in my group knew what the hell was going on and we made it out alive. Well, most of us. Now, anytime that happens, it's best to break down the web wall separating you from the outside. Chances are you'll aggro part of the room whilst getting sucked in, so it's best to join up with your party before you refocus on those mobs. Your first objective in Toto-Rak is to activate the Confession Chamber terminal. Remember those Magitech photocells you've been picking up? You'll need those here. Unfortunately, someone's not ready to give up the terminal so easy. A mini-boss spawns that packs a poison punch. As you can see, the poison debuff does a lot of damage. Here's a quick tip for conjurers at this level. At level 18 you get Asuna, which is a single target dispel. Use this spell. Although you don't have to dispel everyone in the group, at least dispel the tank. If you look at your party frame over here, any debuff that shows up to the left of all personal buffs can be dispelled. Our conjurer managed to heal through the poison debuff, but I'm sure he burned through a ton of MP to do it. So remember, make your life easier and just dispel. Once the mini-boss is down, don't forget to activate the terminal before moving on. Blech. There's something about giant spider eggs that gives me the heebie-jeebies. You come to a sticky web barrier right before the second terminal. DPSing it will cause it to break easily. Again, as soon as you interact with the terminal, another mini-boss will spawn. He does the same poison spell, but will also summon 2 adds at 50%. Tanks be sure to pick these up before they get loose. Activate the second terminal, pick up that loot, and move on. Now, from here on out, the rest of the instance is covered in green slime that will slow you down. Way to ruin my new boots. Oh man, now I don't know if I'm blind or not, but I never see these damn arch traps until they've already sucked me in. At least this time I turned around before I managed to aggro everything. Good thing too, since I was sucked in by myself this time. As you traverse through the slime-ridden cell block, you'll encounter fleshy pods that are pretty important. You'll notice that these have practically no health but will explode on impact. Anyone near them when they explode will take a fair bit of damage, so range should hit them at any opportunity. Or fight me for them. Because I love one-shotting things with my tomahawk. Makes me feel badass. Ooh, he stole one from me. I need to step up my game. Whoa, I stuck in again. That's what I get for looking at pods instead of menacing spider doors. But I still got it. Midair too. So badass. I just did the Final Fantasy equivalent of walking away from an explosion. All I'm missing is a pair of sunglasses and Will Smith. So we go through more creepy tunnels, more slime, slay more creatures, get sucked in by more traps that we never see until it's too late, until we get to the final room. I'm going to skip through part of this cinematic as it does contain some storyline spoilers. But this part right here is just too cool not to show. Now, a million things are flying through my head at this point. I see slime, I see a round room, I see a giant bug, and I'm getting flashbacks of a Nuvarak. So I'm thinking, maybe I need to kite him around. Let's get a better look at this room, and oh crap, I pulled the boss. By the way, don't do this. You'd think by now, after getting sucked into traps a jillion times, I would have learned, but nope, I am a terrible person. So, unfortunately, I ended up locking one of the archers out of the room. I repeat, don't do this. Now, my first instinct when something like this happens is see as much of the boss before we inevitably wipe and learn something. Except we ended up killing him with 1 tank, 1 DPS, and 1 healer. Although this may sound like fun, I wouldn't suggest it. Now, I'll explain the fight verbally, but what you see on screen may not be what you should do. I was experimenting a lot. You can't blame me though. As soon as Graphius is pulled, fleshy pods will spawn around the room. Coming out of Copperbell Mines, my first thought was, maybe I use the slime to slow him down and kite him over the pods as we detonate them. This is why you see me running headlong into the pods. By the way, don't do this either. Aren't you glad I've made all these mistakes so that you don't have to? That's what these videos are all about. The slime doesn't actually slow Graphius, and the pods do nothing but damage you and your party. Honestly, I think I was just overthinking this fight. I had such dreams of massively complicated mechanics and I was so excited. But really, this fight is pretty simple. The first thing you should do is clear all of the fleshy pods. Obviously, this should be done by ranged. The boss will sometimes knock back the tank, and if you get unlucky enough to get punted into a group of these pods, your chances of survival are quite slim. Graphius will periodically cast Sticky Web on a random party member. At this point, I don't believe that the cast can be kicked. This causes a fleshy pod to spawn on top of the player, move away to a safe distance, and then detonate it before you become overwhelmed with excess pods. The boss also casts a frontal thrust called Silkscreen. Tanks make sure you move out of this and keep the boss facing away from the center of the room, where the majority of your party will probably be standing. He also spawns 2 adds which should be picked up and killed as soon as possible. At 50%, the skin will fall off Graphius' tail and he casts Deadly Thrust, essentially poisoning the ground where he hits. Move away from the poisoned ground and switch to Graphius' tail, which is now targetable and has its own health pool. Shattering his tail appears to stun him for a moment, giving you a few seconds to burn him down. Also, focusing on his tail first prevents him from being able to cast more deadly thrusts. With no more goo puddles to worry about, the rest of the fight is just a repeat of Phase 1. There you go. Now, if you do end up doing something stupid like I did, be sure to profusely apologize to your group. And if any of my lovely pugs happen to be watching this, again, I'm sorry. Up next, we have Halatali and Ifrit, so stay tuned. A quick shout out goes out to Darkson Pro, who made an awesome suggestion for the videos. If anyone else has any comments or great suggestions, let me know. It's always appreciated. Thanks for watching. Till next time.